Hey everyone, Coach Kirsten here, and I wanted to share my race report for the inaugural New Mexico 70.3 in Ruidoso, New Mexico on July 12th, 2026. I actually made a separate video that talked all about the course because it was a new race, so a lot of people had questions about the course. And if I combined my race report with the course review, this video would be like 30 minutes long, and you guys definitely don't want that. So if you're interested in just hearing about the race, I'll post the link where you guys can hear about the race and the actual course. This is my experience and how I did and felt in the race. So leading up to the race, some of you guys know this story. I actually had decided three and a half weeks before the race that I was not, or 3 weeks before the race, 2.5 weeks, I don't know. It was on a Wednesday. I had decided to not do the race. I hadn't been training the way I wanted to go out and do really well. I am super busy in the summer. I run a summer swim team, and it's about 40 hours a week on top of what I already do all year round. So it just ends up being really overwhelming. And I was choosing other things other than racing. And I was really into building my summer swim team and making sure it ran really, really well and successfully this summer. So it was 2.5 weeks before, because my plan was about a 2.5 week plan. So I decided I'm not going to do the race. I didn't want to spend the money to get there. My AC was broken. I just got this old car, this new car. I didn't know if it would make it. It's an 8-hour drive, and I was just planning on staying home. Thursday morning, the very next morning, a friend of mine sent me a message, and he said, "Did you see where World 70.3 is?" And he posted a photo of Chattanooga. And I always said I wanted to do another 70.3 Worlds, but I don't want to travel outside the country. And here it was in 2027, Chattanooga. And I was like, oh, I really want to go. But I didn't want to I had already planned for next year not to do any long races and not to race in the summer, because it's too much for me training and racing in the summer. And I was kind of excited to next year, not do anything in the summer and not do any longer races at all and focus on some other things. And I was like, oh, I don't want to do another race next year to try to qualify. So I looked up what races were qualifiers, and it said this race in New Mexico was the first qualifier for 2027 Chattanooga. And I was like, oh crap, that means because I really want to go to Chattanooga, I need to go and do this race. So I came up with this plan that I was going to, for 12 days, I think it was, 14, 15, 17. Yeah, it was about 12 days. I was just going to cram in a ton of training, prioritize it, let everything else go, not sleep, 12 days, just go crazy cramming, and then 10 days taper. So I didn't have enough time to do the long rides and the long runs that I wanted to. And so I ended up doing a lot of really short, hard things. One day I did 8 repeats up NCAR on my bike, which ended up being 5,000 feet of climbing. And I would run up and down the stairs at my work, where I work at City of Westminster, and they have 8 flights of stairs. So after I teach a class, I would go and run up and down the stairs, 30 times. So in 30 minutes, I was just going up and down the stairs nonstop. So I was doing a lot of strength stuff. And all of my training had to be in the middle of the day. So I think actually that really helped me, even though it sucked at the time, because my times, it would be 95 degrees and I'd been already up for 10 hours and I'm trying to do a run or a bike. And so everything was really slow. My average bike rides were 12 and 13 miles per hour. And my average runs, because it was all those stairs and hills, were 13 and 14 minute miles. And I'm like, I am not going to be able to win a race at these speeds. I've won races before. You can't be this slow. But I have a lot of experience in racing. I've been racing for almost 30 years. I have my nutrition nailed. I know how to do really hard things. So I went into the race with some confidence, knowing that a couple advantages I have. I live at over 5,000 feet. The race started at 7,000 feet. So people coming from sea level or lower elevations are going to struggle more than I will. I love hills. This is a really hilly race. It's had a lot of hills on the bikes and on the run. And I've done hilly races. Wildlife Loop triathlon that you guys have heard me talk about, that I do every year. It's the hardest race I've ever done. And I've done it, I think, 9 times now. So I just kept thinking, I have the experience. At least I know how to do hard things. I'm just going to go out and I'm going to do all I can and see what happens. So I drove out. I ended up renting a car because my AC wasn't fixed in my car. And plus my car's a 2008 now, and I've never had an older car. I don't know anything about cars, and I've never driven it more than a couple hours at a time. So I just, for my peace of mind, I just rented a car and drove out. It was an 8-hour drive from Colorado. A super easy drive. And I had AC, so it was heavenly because it was like 95 degrees the entire ride. And I got there on Thursday. I ended up checking into my campground. I was camping. I rented a little teepee. It was really cute. This town is so adorable, you guys. I talk all about it on when I was talking about the race review. But if you don't want to watch that, just a couple things. Wild horses everywhere, mountains, trees, gorgeous, fun. Everyone was super nice, lots of hills. It was beautiful. It actually reminded me a lot of South Dakota driving in. It looked the same, smelled the same. It had kind of the same feel as the South Dakota race that I really love. So I went in Thursday, checked out a couple things, checked out the lake, checked out where we do athlete check-in in the morning, and then went to bed early, slept 10 hours, world record for me for the summer, because in the summer I never get sleep. Slept 10 hours, woke up, felt amazing. Went and checked in, athlete check-in, really easy. Ended up biking the run course, because the run course was all on a bike path. It's a 3-loop course, so my friend Michelle and I biked 1 loop of it just to check out the bike course to see what it was. And as I was biking biked the run course, I was like, this doesn't seem as hard as I imagined in my mind. But you never know, like I was biking it, running it might be different. It was very hot. It was really hot the whole time. So biked the run course, and then we drove the bike course. And I was thinking also, this doesn't seem as hard as I had it in my mind. In my mind, this was going to be like Wildlife Loop, which is, I don't know all the elevations, but it's a lot. It's like 5,000 feet of climbing in the bike and like 2,000 feet of climbing on the run, or something obnoxious. So this is what my mindset was going in, is that it was, but you never know. You don't know. Like we were driving in a car. Like it might be a lot harder on the bike. So, but in my mind, I'm like, just treat it as if it's like the hardest race you've ever done. And I kept building myself up with confidence. Like, you're a blue belt in jiu-jitsu. You've done 7 marathons in 7 days. Like, I just kept reminding myself that I can do hard things. And that was really helpful going in. Checked in my bike run, easy. It was 2 different transitions, but they had it dialed in really well. So very simple, got everything checked in, felt good. The second night I slept 9 hours. So I was like caught up on my sleep. Night before the race, I stayed up a little late. I was chit-chatting with the RV. I was in an RV park, and some neighbors next to us were from Denver. The parents racing were from Dallas. So we were talking about elevation and just having a good time. And I ended up laying down a little late. So I got to bed a little later than I wanted to. And sometimes I sleep really well before a race, and sometimes I don't. And I did not sleep at all before the race, but I knew it was okay because Thursday night and Friday night, I slept like a rock. So race morning, got up really early, ended up getting on the first buses at 4:15. They shuttle up to the start. No spectators were allowed because there's just no room. This is a really small town and a really small mountainous race, so there's no room for spectators. So it was only athletes going up on the bus, which I really like, because then the buses got us up there a lot quicker, which was really nice. So got up there. There's no place to really warm up because it's just like a big hill down and a big hill up, and some stairs from the lake up to transition. So I just kind of did I just stayed in place. I did a bunch of jogging and jumping jacks and high knees and skips and butt kickers, and got my heart rate up for about 5 minutes, did a bunch of mobility stuff, and then put my floaty pants on. I didn't want to wear a wetsuit. The water was like 70 degrees. It was really warm. So I chose just to use my floaty pants, which was such a good decision because I hate being hot. And it just got hotter and hotter throughout the day. So at least I didn't start off hot. So swim start, rolling start, I seated myself for the 30 to 33 time, and pretty easy swim. It's a 1 3/4 loop, which sounds confusing, but again, once you see the setup, it was actually really easy. The only part that was a little challenging is when we came around for the second loop, we merged in with the people that were just starting. They let 2 people off every 3 seconds. You jump off a dock into the water. And so it was kind of muddled there. So for a couple minutes, it was just weaving, and a lot of people struggling with, I think, people coming from low altitudes and sea level with not being able to breathe, like a lot of breaststroke and heads up and hanging on buoys, hanging on kayaks and paddle boarders. But I made my way through, got in the second loop, got through the transition, and my time was, I think, 34 minutes for the swim, which is common for me these days. I used to be more of a 30-minute swimmer, but I'm 54 now. I'm not complaining. I ended up second out of the swim in my age group, not knowing, of course, I don't know where I am till the end, but second in my age group, and got through transition pretty quickly. When you come out of transition, you have to run down this big hill to mount. The mount line is at the bottom of this hill, so it's kind of sketchy with bike shoes and your bike, but I just took it easy. I didn't go fast. I would have tumbled over probably. Got on the mount line. The whole race starts with a pretty steep descent for about 4 miles till you get on the flatter area. And I was feeling good. And in the swim, I was feeling really good. And I was thinking in the swim, this is going to be a good day. I could just tell I was feeling good. So, but I didn't know what was coming, and I was expecting a really hard race. So I just took it easy on the descents. I was just kind of cruising them, and I'm, not taking any chances really. I wasn't in aero on the first 4 miles. It was really steep. I was just kind of cruising it. And then you get onto the highway area, and it's a 14-mile slight downhill. Then you turn around and go 14 miles back uphill, and you do that twice. And so again, on the downhill, I was probably, it's not steep, it's just gradual. I was maybe doing an effort of 4 out of 10 because I'm it's a downhill. It's at the beginning of the race. I feel like this race is going to get really hard. Just be patient. Got to the bottom, turned around for the 14 miles uphill. And I did it at about an effort of about 5 out of 10 because same thing. It's 2 loops. There's a big climb at the end. This is going to get really hard. Well, I got to the top of the 14 miles at my 5 out of 10 pace, and I'm this is not as hard as I thought it was going to be. And I knew the last 4 miles were back up a pretty steep hill, but that's only 4 miles, and I've done really steep stuff. So I actually picked it up. So my effort, the second loop on the downhill, was more like a 7 out of 10. And since I was still feeling good, that 14 miles back up the second time, I started pushing it. So 8 out of 10. So my second loop was actually a lot faster than my first loop because I wanted to see what it was like, and it wasn't as bad as I thought. So then coming up to that last 4 miles of a climb, I pushed it a lot more. I was out of the saddle, shifting gears a lot. I passed a bunch of people in that portion, and I was wow, we only have a couple miles and this isn't that bad. I don't know where I am in the race because you can't tell. People are with the rolling start. There's somebody in your age group that could start 10 minutes after you, and if they finish 9 minutes after you, they still beat you. So it's really hard to tell. So I was just trying to do my race, but I really picked it up those last 4 miles on the steep uphill, and I still felt really good going into the run. So I ended up, my bike was 2:45, 2 hours and 45 minutes. I ended up first place after the bike and for the fastest cyclist in my age group for the bike course. And I think it has to do with, I live at a place where no matter where you ride, there's some elevation. And so when I'm doing a flat ride, quote flat ride, and I'm driving from my house to Boulder and back, it's a 25-mile ride, and I feel like it's pretty flat. There's a little rise and fall on the bike path. And then it ends up being like 1,500 feet of climbing is considered kind of flat to me. So this actually felt really manageable. And I kept thinking, like, this feels really easy. So I get out on the run and I'm feeling good again. I have no idea where I am as far as placing, but my goal is to qualify, and to be guaranteed a qualifying spot, you have to get first. So I'm like, just go as hard as you can. Felt really good on the run, but again, I knew there was a lot of hills on the run, and I didn't know how it would be by the third loop. So I just kind of went out maybe a 6 out of 10 for effort, but my heart rate was up. I could definitely feel my heart rate up higher than normal at that effort. But again, we're at a higher elevation, so I was okay with that. And it was getting really hot. So I made sure even in transition, I poured water all over my body. I just soaked myself so I would be wet the entire run. So every aid station, I would get ice, put it down the front of me, my back, the back of my back. Oh, I did something completely new. Don't do new things on race day, but it was actually, I loved it. So I decided to wear my backpack, my running backpack. And I've never done that before. I've thought about it in other races, but just decided against it at the last minute. In this race, I was like, I feel like this race might be kind of a slog, and everyone's going to be suffering, and it's going to be hot. And I just want all my nutrition with me because I use Flow Nutrition. And I wanted it all with me I usually carry a little flask and it's concentrated. So I'll like take a little with water, but then I also wanted my pickle juice because I've been cramping a lot in races lately. And I wanted my Aquaphor. Like I have all my stuff with me, and I usually like just put it all in my race kit, but then I'll like take out a pickle juice and another one will fall off, and then I have to bend down and pick it up. And it's like, don't try bending down like halfway through a long race. You just won't get back up or you'll cramp. So I decided to wear my running backpack. And so I put it on. I had both my things full that are like 20 ounces. And then I had like 5 or 6 pickle juices. I had some extra calories, some extra carbs. I had my lip stuff. I had toilet paper in case I needed to go to the bathroom. Like I had this big thing, and I started running, and I was like, that's probably why my heart rate was high. I was like, wow, this is really heavy. It's a lot of stuff. But I knew that as I went, I would be taking all this stuff and it would get lighter and lighter. But anyway, I ended up loving it. I loved having everything on me. So at every aid station, I would just put ice down my front, ice down my back, and splash myself with water. And then I could keep running because I had all my stuff on me. And I loved it. I will definitely do that again. It was, you know what? I'm 54. They expect the old people to be like carrying backpacks, so I don't look as torquey, but I loved it. So anyway, I'm out on the run. I finished my first loop, and I thought the same thing as the bike. I was like, I went about a 5 out of 10 effort, and I was like, this is not as hard as I imagined. And don't get me wrong, the second loop was harder, the third loop was really hard, but in my mind, it was going to be much harder. So the fact that it wasn't as hilly as I thought, I could actually pick it up a little bit. So my effort for the second lap was probably like 7 out of 10. And my effort for my last lap was like 9 or 10 out of 10. Because at that point, I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're really fast or really slow. Your body has been out there for however long at your max effort, and you're trashed. So everything was hurting. I did not cramp though. So I think I took like 6 pickle juices. So maybe that's it. I just need more pickle juice, because normally I only take 4 because that's all I can fit in my race kit. And so having my backpack, I had extra pickle juices. I just like, the backpack thing was it for me. I finished all my nutrition, and at the same time I finished, I felt really strong running in. I ended up the second fastest runner. But the fastest runner, I looked in hindsight, she was gaining on me like crazy. She was really fast. But since I was so far ahead on the swim and bike, she never caught me. I ended up winning my age group. My run time was right over 2 hours, which is a slower run for me, but it was really hot. It was a slower course, and I was totally happy with it. My overall time was 5:28. And I compared this course in difficulty to St. George. When I did St. George last year, my time was 5:28. So I feel like it's very comparable. It was about my same splits. And so if you're, wondering like, oh, what is this course comparable to? I would say as far as overall difficulty, the St. George 70.3. So I ended up winning my age group. Yay. I was 21st female overall, which I was really proud of. But what I was most excited about is Ironman does this thing now where if you're the first place person in your age group, you automatically get a slot to the World Championships. And then they age grade each gender. So they have a formula. Don't ask me what it is. They age grade, and they're like, based on your age and your time, what would your time be if everybody was the same age? So they just put it through a mathematical formula, and then they rank you in age graded ranking, and then whatever spots are open after they give the first place to everyone. So the women had 30 spots. Everyone took their spot of the females. So that's, I think, 10. And so then the next 20 people that are age graded, the first 20, if you take out the people who already got their spots, it would roll down. Then they get offered the spot. And in the age graded, I was 12th female. So I was really, really proud of that, because to me, like, it's hard to compare yourself to young. I'm racing 54 this year, and there's like girls in their 30s and 20s and 30s and 40s, and they're so fast. So I'm not going to compare myself to that. But when they do the age grading, it kind of puts everyone on the same playing field. And then I was 12th age graded. So that was like my proudest moment when I found that out. I was like, wow, I would have been, if we were all the same age, I would have been in 12th place female, which is really exciting to me, because I like to be competitive. I want to do well in my sport. I did get my championship spot. I was very proud of that. I ended up feeling like, I stayed for the awards, because you have to get your championship spot. And then I started driving home that night. That was hard. I was like, my quads were trash. I didn't feel it at the time, but courses that are more rolly like that with some downhill, especially the last loop, I was really trying to push the downhill because it wasn't hard physically. It's just hard on my body. So yeah, my quads were trashed. Every time I got out to like go to the bathroom or get gas or something on my drive home, I was like barely getting out of my car. It would have been funny to watch. But all in all, I had an amazing race. Another thing people always ask me is my nutrition. So I do use Flow, which is each bottle that I drink is 90 grams of carbs, and all through the whole race, I drank 6 bottles. So that's 540 grams of carbs. I weigh 135 pounds for that, like, comparison to see, based on your weight, your size, and what your GI system can handle. Between 60 and 90 carbs is pretty like standard to try if your GI system is really soft, or like you can't handle a lot. Start with the 60 and work up, and then you just have to experiment with what works for you. And I've been really working on this the last 3 years. So I went into this knowing that my nutrition was pretty on point. So that was another confidence point that I got, because I know a lot of people, especially in the heat in the 90s, and then with the elevation, a lot of people would be off their nutrition game. So I ended up, that was I didn't take anything extra other than I was out of my drink. In the last aid station, I did take some on-course drink, whatever that was. I forgot what it was. Precision. I think it was Precision. So I drank 2 cups of that. That was all I took, other than my 6 bottles of Flow. And so that was 540 grams of carbs. And then each bottle is 360 calories. So 4 times 6, like 2,400 calories I probably took in the time, because people always ask about that. So I wanted to share that information. Do you guys have any questions about the course? Please let me know. I love it. Like I said, if it wasn't in July, I would do this every single year, but it was just really hard fitting in a July race. I had to request a bye from swimming. We all get a bye where we don't have a swim meet on a Saturday. I requested that Saturday be a bye. It was granted, which is how I could go and leave And so it was a big challenge logistically to get me there, but I loved it. It's an amazing race. Everybody do it. If you guys have other questions about it, let me know. Thanks for listening. Bye.